for those of you who have sites that are just starting out or that are growing exponentially, be careful with your moderators a little bit. And the reason I bring that up is because, as he pointed out, sometimes they can go to their heads. And you also have to remember that these moderators posting underneath either their username or a real name, that if it's on a popular board via AVS or Luxury Play or what have you, that carries over to other forums they might be on. So you gotta be real careful with that. And I know you can't tell people don't post somewhere else, obviously, but you need to remind them that people will recognize you from being from another site, a large site, and that you're a moderator there, and that can, and it will come back and bite you at some point. So just make sure you nip that in the bud right away and have a nice little rule guideline of how you behave, and you'll go a longer way.
This next question is for Nick. I'd like to have your PG-13 answer to this one. We've been around in the forum space for quite some time. I know you're trying to do some really innovative things with your next venture, eGarage. Where do you see the forum space going, and what are you trying to achieve with your next venture?
I guess we're all here because the forums, they create money, right? I mean, they generate money. And when I first got on, it was kind of a hobby. You get on and you want to learn how to change a freaking light bulb. But now it's gotten to a point where these are real businesses. You're meeting other people in the same space, and what I'm trying to do personally is I love the forums, and I love the camaraderie that's built, the friendships and the business, the partnerships that are made from business to business. I'm now starting to want to create think tanks around the country, starting with the West Coast with a couple of locations where, kind of like your bus,
Exactly.
But I'm gonna have like mirrors on the ceiling. Real life think tanks to have people come in and look, see what other people are doing, see maybe some ideas are born out of those spaces. But it's definitely important. I mean, it works for you.
Yeah.
Anonymity is important. When you're buying bow ties.
And I do have mirrors on it.
But I like taking it kind of off the web and into real life situations. I think a lot of us have gotten really wrapped up in being, on a computer 15 hours a day, whatever it is, but it's good to see and good to meet the people that you're doing business with. The people who would advertise on my sites, I want to go meet them. I'd like to have dinner with them, I'd like to have a beer, whatever. And so I think that's really important. I think that's the next step, and that's a good way to be successful and to stay successful, is to meet the people that you're doing business with. If people are advertising, they're giving you money, we should probably fly out there and meet them if you can, or get a bus.
That's an interesting point. Let me relate to that. When I first started out, I didn't even know who the forum members were. I saw their names and got a feeling for their personalities. And then one of my advertisers started an Ask Andy event in New York City. And we had 400 forum members through a suite at the Regency Hotel over 2 days. And I really got to know those people. And it was kind of interesting. So I got a feeling for age, what they were interested in. So usually every place I go, Singapore, Hong Kong, last night in San Francisco here, I try to have a little Ask Andy get together. We'll stop and have drinks, and we had a bunch of guys at the Hyatt, and we talked about bow ties, but and other things. And it's interesting to get their feeling for things, what they think the direction should be. So it's kind of the same thing. And I do have a beer with my advertisers, the ones that aren't in England.
Let's do this. Let's try to get some questions from the audience. Who's got a question? I know there's going to be questions out there. Okay, go ahead. First, why don't you say your name and the company you're with, or site you're with, and then go ahead and ask a question.
My name is Samir. I run probably the smallest forum in here. It's called HuntsvilleCarScene.com. It's based in North Alabama. And my question
doesn't matter.
And my question, I've got a few of them here. This is just the first one. Since all of you have built forums ground up, I know VWVortex, I've been on there. I've been on AVS forums. And what are some of the key forms that you put in when you're building a forum? What are those things that initially draw people and start those conversations?
I think, I mean, the obvious thing is whatever the interest the site revolves around, obviously you want to look at that particular vertical or niche, if we're using all the buzzwords. But you know, in our case with an automotive forum, we divided it up, you know, like Volkswagen site logically by the different models of cars they sold in the generations. And then we provided, we tried an off-topic forum, and it was a humongous mess. So what we did is an alternative to that was we created a community forum category, and we divided into music and television and these types of things, and we allow our readers to petition. I think for our site, the size of it, we tell them about 100 readers can try to petition us. Yeah, they throw things at us that there's no way we'll create them, and we reserve the right to tell them why. But you know, there's some basic things to get the community going. I mean, obviously it's based on whatever the interest is of the forum that you're creating, but then you also want to recognize the fact that they have interests outside of just scuba diving or parasailing or whatever the site might be about.
In my case, it was just dumb luck. I had no idea what I was doing, and I just put up the forum as adjacent to the website, which was about men's clothing. And my vision was that I would be answering questions from high school kids about what to wear to the prom, you know, how to put a tuxedo together. And that was a little bit for like the first couple of weeks. And then the second, third week, I got a question on there, where to get bespoke shoes in Paris. Well, that was way over my head. So I left it alone, didn't answer it. Looked back the next day, 6 guys had answered. So I said, I don't even need to read this anymore. They don't need me. And it just kind of mushroomed from that. The thing that is interesting in my case about adding the forum, that's what's really driven the traffic. I'm getting 1,300,000 hits a day, something like 400 page views, 30,000 or 40,000 unique visitors, and it's all coming through the forum. I mean, the content, I have some great content, but most of the traffic is coming through the forum. So there's a lot to be said for blind love.
Let's grab some more questions. I don't mean to cut you off.
My name is Sanjay Sadani, and I'm with CrowdGather. My question to the panel is, when it comes to the way your sites are currently running in terms of the technology platform or stack that you're using, how much change or evolution do you see going through, let's say in the next 5 years or so? I mean, is what you're doing pretty much how you're going to do it for the next 5 years? Are there overhauls needed? I'd like to just hear, because there's a good diversity here.
Sure.
I don't know if we're talking just forum specifics. I mean, I think everybody...
The forum portion primarily,
yeah.
But then how it integrates with the rest of your CMS, your world.
I think it's common sense that, you know, especially we're all in this tech field, in essentially a tech field here, that you want to try to stay up to date on everything that's going on. I'd be lying if I said that it took me a long time to get my head around Twitter, because posting about when I go to the bathroom and stuff just seemed ridiculous to me. But I understand now, I have a little bit better idea of how we can utilize it for our company, and that's the important thing about it, is how do you continue to communicate with your readers? It seems like overkill. I mean, they can be on CSS, email lists, forums, I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but you want to stay ahead of that curve, obviously, and I think that's common sense. In the forum software itself, I think, you know, yes, to a certain extent, we're all at the mercy of the software companies to an extent. But on the other hand, you know, we talked about, it's been mentioned that, well, it's kind of archaic, the way it looks and functions. You know what, the reality is every time we've changed it, our readers go ballistic.
It
and
works.
I mean,
Yeah.
it works, and it works pretty well. Could it use a little bit of sprucing up? Potentially, yes. But I think the end result is be careful of changing too much in that evolution. So, you know, you want to keep the technology up to date, but I think within the forum software itself, you know, you work with the tools you have, and you look to try to reach out and branch out in other avenues, all for, at the end of the day, for your readers, and staying connected to them in this process.
Great, let's see if there's any more questions. A bunch of questions.
I'm Lance from Pirate4x4.com. Just wondering what you guys are doing to combat spammers.
Anyone can take that. Who wants to take that one?
You will do the porn mostly, so go ahead.
Great.
Sorry.
Nick, you want that one?
Yeah. You know, again, I think this goes back to what we talked about earlier, just really quickly, moderation. who are your moderators? How are they going to deal with it? How are they going to spot it? How are they going to see it? You got to take care of your moderators. That's what I've always done. And one thing that didn't get brought up, which I'll just throw in really quickly, is anonymity sometimes with moderators works really good so that they don't get sort of attacked by members. But yeah, I mean, just that's really the only way. I mean, I don't know that there's any real software, because if you're getting spammed, that means they're looking for you. That means you're on the map. That means you're doing something right. So it's kind of a compliment, and it's kind of a, you know.
What software program do you use?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's try to answer one question, because I know we have a few more questions, so we'll have one panelist answer each question. In the back?
This question is for Nick, since you've already built several of these really successful forums. My name is Brett Bocook. I'm the CEO and founder of Worlds Law. And my question is how long starting...
So why don't you take the mic, because it's kind of hard to hear all the way up there.
How long, starting from square one, does it take to really build up a forum like this, and what kind of numbers can you expect? And the second part of the question is, when you organically grow these moderators, what techniques do you do that to induce them to become, let's see, I think someone said 98% of these are organically grown and are not paid, kind of volunteer moderators?
Well, I guess a site can be built. I don't know. I mean, we do everything in-house. I'm just a control freak when it comes to the design. I do a lot of the design myself. It could take a week, but I mean, this thing that I'm launching right now, it's going to be big. I think it's going to be a game changer, and it's taken us months. It's taken us many months to make it. I want to make it very visual, very visually stimulating. Again, I said, you know, earlier, I don't want to have someone come in for 4 minutes and leave. I'd like to have them there for 40 minutes. That's really important to me, and it would be really important to the people who are trying to advertise on the site. And then as far as like the moderators, again, you know, you just have to find people that you trust. I don't know if I'd ever have my mom be a moderator, but if I had to, damn it, I would get her on there, and I would show her how to use vBulletin.
All right, I think we're running out of time, but we have time for one last question.
Any fashion questions?
And they'll be here all afternoon to answer all your. Okay, this is the last question. I think we're out of time then.
My name's Steve. I'm from Best Destination Wedding, and I would just ask. I was wondering if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently, or what were your biggest regrets?
Dave, you want to take that one?
No partners.
Yeah. Don't worry, you're off my Christmas card.
I would have put the forum in a lot sooner.
Maybe we could get a quick answer from everyone on that one.
Do what you love, because if you enjoy what you're doing, even if it fails, you still enjoy it. I mean, seriously. I mean, that's where it came from. I mean, it was a passion. Grow that passion. That's it.
It seemed like you were going to say something really inspirational.
I thought I did. I thought that was the ending line.
I don't know if I should even follow up with that. I guess the only advice I would give is keep looking at the big picture. It's important to sweat the details. It's very critical, you know, in anything that you do. But also see the forest through the trees. There's things and aspects to this. You know, you turn a hobby into a job, and you might end up hating both. And so it's important to keep perspective on what you're doing and why you do it and why you love to do it. And maintaining that perspective over a long period of time is tough. And there's lots of things that can drag you down when you're running these forums and the way your readers act and the things they do and when legal letters start showing up. But you know, the reality is that you remember why you do this and keep that passion going, and remember that these things do pass. Who said that? This too shall pass. And Jesus. So yeah, if that's the advice I give, you know, but what I would change, nothing. There's some stumbling blocks along the way in doing my business that, you know, none of us probably here has enough business sense, and I'm still learning, even though they've labeled me as an expert here. But the reality is that it's tough, especially, you know, doing this.
If you don't stumble, you don't learn. If you don't learn, you can't grow. So.
Well, I think we're pretty much out of time with that question. Probably should clap for these guys. They did a great job.